This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me, I got Robert Alexander. What's going on, Rob?
What's up? Welcome back.
We had a little 3-week hiatus. Feeling recharged. We're getting ready to get back into all boxing that's been going on. Let's jump right into it, Rob. Now I'm gonna admit I didn't get a chance to see the full fight yet. I focused Saturday on Tio and Josh Taylor, but Munguia and Derevyanchenko apparently went to war. I have caught up on some highlights, but again, I will rewatch that fight. I just haven't had a chance to watch the entirety. Rob, how impressed were you with the fight overall? Because, I mean, from what I've seen, like, the whole thing is practically a highlight reel.
It is. It reminds you of them old fights. It reminds you of what boxing used to be, man. When two fighters just came in there and went toe-to-toe. They didn't care about whose record was what. They didn't care about really anything other than fisticuffs, okay? Because that's what was going on in the ring, was a whole bunch of heavy, hard punching. Very hard punching. Them guys were punching with bad intentions on every shot. They both were hurt. And, man, you got to give both guys credit first and foremost. But, surprisingly, I'm really impressed with Derevyanchenko. I know the guy brings it every fight, but he had to dig deep in this fight to go the way that he could, because he was hurt several times in this fight, and he just kept coming back. He just kept coming with it. So, man, the guy was a warrior. I got to pay tribute to him for that night. And Munguia, we already know he's a heavy hitter. He brought his A game that night. He did not want to see his O go. And, he didn't relinquish it. So, my hat's off to both guys. It was a hell of a fight.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to keep seeing, it's good that Derevyanchenko keeps getting put in these spots because he definitely deserves it. But it seems like he gets there, he puts on an amazing show, and almost always he's coming up short, right? I mean, you're talking about decision after decision against guys like Daniel Jacobs, split decision. Gennady Golovkin, he lost a unanimous one to him, but a lot of people saw Derevyanchenko winning that one. And, I mean, you're looking at the scorecards, it's still a close fight, 112 to 115, 113 to 114. And, Gennady Golovkin is the A side there, so you got to think you minus those 1 or 2 rounds. Hey, Derevyanchenko won that one. Not to mention Jamal Charlo, Carlos Adames. You got a majority decision there, and then just this past weekend, of course, with Munguia. He has these super close fights. This has to kill somebody's confidence, doesn't it, Rob? I mean, you get put in there with these big names, and you're proving yourself, but you just can't get over that hump. You can't get the judges to see it your way.
Look, I said going into the 12, Munguia needs a knockdown. He needs a knockdown all the way into the 12. You got to give Munguia credit. He got the knockdown. And Derevyanchenko, it's one of those things. I can't really feel bad for the guy because he came to win this fight. And he was in it till the end. And on a lot of most of the scorecards, he was in there up until the end, but he just lost it with, one punch. One punch, one knockdown. One knockdown can change the whole fight, whether it's in the middle of the fight or even like it was here at the end. I think it was in the middle of the fight. Munguia would have took that momentum, and he could have swung the whole fight completely his direction. But, it happened at the end of the fight, and he was able to swing it towards the judge's decision with that one knockdown. So yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for the guy because of the rap he's gotten with the previous fights, but in this one, I mean, he went toe to toe. There was no real loser in this bout. He's definitely still going to get on the radar for other fights. I mean, it's one of those things that kind of happens, and Munguia to me earned it with that knockdown.
No denying that. You look at his previous fights too, along with the close calls. You have some knockdowns that are unfortunately in the other guy's favor. I mean, we all know Derevyanchenko got knocked down by that body punch in round 12 against Munguia, but of course he got dropped in the first round against Gennady Golovkin and Daniel Jacobs. So if he stays on his feet the whole time, maybe he earns a draw against those big names, and who knows where he goes from there. So, not to mention the Munguia fight. So that's the three top guys that he could have possibly either beaten or at least drew, and that does a lot for your career when you beat somebody like that. But you're right. I mean, at least he's still getting those call outs. He's still getting those big fights. So that's good to hear. Who do you want to see against both of these guys next? Because, I mean, or do you want to see a rematch? I mean, for me, it seems like Derevyanchenko gets those close fights, right? Everybody's like, I don't want that again. Nobody wants Derevyanchenko again. What do you want to see?
In this case, I would love to see a rematch. I would love to see it because Munguia still has a lot to prove. Even with this victory, he has a lot to prove because it was so narrow. It was a body punch. Derevyanchenko was still on his feet at the end. I think he deserves a rematch, honestly. And what better way to do it here because this is definitely fight of the year candidate. And if they stack them up again, it'll be hard to stack up against these two because of how their styles are. They mesh really well in the ring. They're really good fighting partners, so to speak. I can see this even going into a trilogy. Honestly, I would love to see it going into a trilogy because this is what boxing needs. We need these wars.
We definitely do. I think it definitely draws attention to the sport. I mean, really, all you got to do is show highlights of that first one to build excitement for the second one. And I think Derevyanchenko's earned that. I think he's earned it against Jacobs and Golovkin, too. He's just never going to get those shots. Munguia, however, I think that might be more doable to make a rematch for that. Sakura, what do you think?
If we're talking about how great the fight was,
Oh,
or
yeah.
like
Overall, but we're saying what's next for both of these guys because Derevyanchenko, as I was saying to Rob, like he gets these tough fights and he comes so close on these scorecards, but he can't get over the hump. And Rob pointed out that it is a lot of knockdowns, knockdown in the Golovkin fight, in the Jacobs fight, and of course in the Munguia fight in that 12th round. So, and if he makes it on his feet, he might end up getting a draw. On some of those, if not possibly even winning those fights.
Yeah, I really think it's just politics because I think that he won the Triple G fight, and I definitely think he won the Munguia fight. I mean, if you're carrying the entire fight with Munguia having a maybe 2 or 3 rounds is what I could see him like really dominating throughout the fight. And then you just get knocked down at one time. It doesn't equal up to all the other rounds you won to me. Like that should have at least been a draw or a win for Derevyanchenko. Unfortunately, I feel like Munguia was going to be moving on. He is not thinking about revisiting Derevyanchenko. And that's how boxing is working right now for most of these opponents. I mean, because it's not like it's a huge draw, because unfortunately we had a lot of people that didn't even get to watch this particular fight. Number one, it was on DAZN, which requires you to have an app. But 2, it was so many other competitive things and activities and different things going on this weekend. We had the International Hall of Fame going on this weekend. Then we had the Mayweather event. We had Friday night was a Don King fight as well. Then you turn around Saturday and there was the Lopez versus Josh Taylor fight going on. So if I hadn't have been urged by Rob, thankfully, I have you guys. You have my back on these things. I would not have been able to find time to go back and watch this fight myself. So, unfortunately, a lot of people missed it, which also means that there's not going to be a push from social media or fans outraged, about the scoring, number one, and number two, about how much of a war it was, and that Munguia truly has Derevyanchenko problems. Um, he didn't get through that fight with a clear win to me. Now, was it heroic and was it amazing that in the 12th he was able to finally land something that stunned Derevyanchenko? Yes, it's absolutely amazing. But like I said on the scorecards, it should not be resulting in him with a unanimous decision. It was just way too close for it to supposedly have been all three judges agreeing on this. To me,
I agree with you there. And actually, for me, nobody's gotten through Derevyanchenko cleanly except for one. I'll give Charlo that one. Charlo's the only one that did it and did it with an exclamation point. I think everybody else kind of left that up. It could have gone either way for either one of those fights.
Yes, for sure. But the thing is that now that division, they do have the litmus test. I do believe in the litmus test. Who did best against Derevyanchenko? Who handled him the best? Who gave him, the most hurt? I mean, for me, he took a lot of damage on in the Charlo fight, but that pain that was on from the Munguia body punch in the 12, that was some pain. So we now know that Munguia is capable of causing someone, to be in like devastating pain. We know that, and we know he's still carrying his power through to the 12th round. So these are things that we now know. You know what was confusing, guys, and I wanted to ask you about it. I just didn't understand why Team Munguia didn't want to do the 12 rounds when it actually ended up benefiting them. Because if it had ended in the 10th round, the way that they wanted Derevyanchenko to agree to, he definitely would have lost then. Because, I mean, those two last rounds were critical for him in the scoring, I believe. Especially with the knockdown being in the 12. So I just didn't understand why they was trying to cut it down to 10 rounds. And number two, how do you have a championship fight? Because remember, there was a title and they were trying to make it a 10 rounder. And apparently they got clearance to have it a 10 rounder, even though they're supposed to be 12.
It is confusing considering professionally, Derevyanchenko has the least fights. So if anything, Munguia is the veteran here. So I don't understand either.
Yeah, those two things kind of really confused me. Unless they really didn't think he was going to have stamina enough to finish it. But he proved them wrong. And I think that's why his team and Oscar and everybody was so excited with the results he had in the 12th round, because I felt like they must have did not believe that he had enough, in the tank to be able to do those 12 rounds for some reason.
And that's worrying too, especially against an aged fighter. I mean, he's 37. Don't get me wrong. Derevyanchenko did not look 37 in the ring, but he's still 37. The longer you're alive, the longer it's just, that stamina is going to wear on you more and more. Munguia's the younger fighter. He should have been able to go the 12. You're right. It just doesn't make sense to me either, School.
Well, one thing about it, Derevyanchenko is like a crowd pleaser. He's a fan favorite. And now he's going to have this fight of the year under his record as well. So I do believe he deserves and has earned a championship somewhere around the lines, but has been derailed on those. And I think it's mostly political rather than his actual output and what he deserves.
for
So
sh- for sure. I'd love to see Derevyanchenko get back on any of these losses. I mean,
yeah,
everything but Charlo. I don't want to see Charlo again. That was, like I said, that was clear for me. But all the other ones, I'd like him to see Jacobs. I'd like him to see Golovkin. I mean, I doubt any of those happen, but he earned it for me.
for sure. I mean, that was an amazing fight, and thanks so much for telling me to go back and watch it. And it's a tribute to the fact that that's one tough cookie. It goes to
Oh,
show.
both of them. Both of them.
Yeah, that's true. Munguia did show that he has heart and he is a warrior in there because he took a lot of punches as well. I mean, that defense has to be tightened up before he gets in there with someone that is known for power. That's for sure. But he did take a lot, and he was hurt several times in that fight as well. So yeah, they both showed that they belong where they were. They belonged in the conversation in that division as two of the best.
And he looks so much bigger than Derevyanchenko fight night too.
You don't want me to start on that because you already know. Like that's why
Hey,
I was like,
they
Derek
had
is a beast because it's
they
kind of you on that bullying role when you get too big in
Yeah,
there with your opponent the night of the fight.
yeah.
they actually had fight night weight. I don't know if you caught that, but they
No,
actually did announce fight night weight. Munguia, I believe, was something like around 185, but Derevyanchenko was at 181.
Derevyanchenko
That's
added
that's
on
some
that.
that's some rehydration, yeah, from both of them, man. Whew.
Wow. I mean, and I do think that also can have an effect on the fight. You know what I'm saying? The boxers and their stamina and their ability to move around, you know, in the ring and
Sure.
all of that. Like because you're carrying around so much more extra weight. But damn, 175, like they were past that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without getting into like a whole rant, I think now is time for boxing to stop the extra day. We need to just do same day weigh-ins. That way we know everybody belongs where they belong, and it's healthier for the fighters
But
too. We're gonna see as many deaths in this sport as well. It would prevent a lot more.
yeah, but really though, to kind of stay on topic, that I want to stay on with Munguia out here, especially. I kind of want to know your thoughts on the way he's being brought up because this is like his 42nd fight now. And guys, I'm comparing him to a Zerto, the way that De La Hoya and them did Zerto. He wasn't ready when he fought B-Ball, and it. I kind of see Munguia heading in the same direction. Yes, this was a test. He did not pass it with flying colors. This is your 42nd fight with no losses. That's a problem.
I wouldn't say he failed the test either, though, Rob. I hear what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing completely. But this is definitely a huge step up for Munguia. If you look compared to, his past resume, nobody runs through
But
Derevyanchenko. Charlo did really well against him, but he still did not even run completely through him. So
but look at what I'm saying though. With Zerto, same case. Jesse Hart, big fight for him.
I agree.
Went kind of just like this. And Zerto, waited till what his 50th or damn near his 50th fight, 44? Before he got in there with a true champion? I mean, Munguia was young. I'll give him that. But I'm sick of De La Hoya right now. Sick
He
of Golden Boy and what they're doing.
What the
Oscar,
heck
if
does
you're
that have to
listening,
do with
stop
anything?
ruining these guys.
well,
Stop.
hang on now.
Not everybody's Canelo.
Yes.
He's not. De La Hoya brings him up slow. He does. You call it protecting. I mean, that's not all the way a lie, but I think putting him in there with the right, you gotta slowly stacker him. You can't jump him over too many steps,
Lucas,
or you're gonna fall down the stairs pretty
Lucas.
hard, right?
It's 41 damn fights. though.
I'm
It's
hearing you.
41.
I'm
No,
hearing
This
you.
is not 20,
Derevyanchenko should have
21
happened
fights.
a while ago. I agree. However, he's still young. It's not like he's 38 or something. This man is
guys, I mean,
26. He's still
the,
ready to go.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and look at what Oscar did with Chavez Jr. Look what he did with Chavez Jr. I'm seeing a pattern.
But listen, I mean, you're basing it
Well, I'm making
on.
valid points, Sakura.
I understand that, but you also have to also include the fact that when you are born and bred in Mexico, you have way more opportunities to tune up and keep yourself busy and always be, racking up box. And that's throughout history. Mexicans have a lot more options when it comes to, racking up boxing fights, on the record. There's also some that aren't on the record that they don't even include on the record that they've done in Mexico. So you have to, I mean, I know 40 something seems like a big number, but in Mexico, that's just, that's how they fight. And I mean, that's why Devin Haney has the record he has as well, because he couldn't even fight here in the US. He had to go to Mexico. Canelo also has a lot of like those type of fights on his record from before he came to the US and made a splash. So you can't like just say like, oh, they got all these fights, they should be ready, because the opposition that a lot of times they have is just not what it would be for an American that's able to have professional bouts here. So, I mean, I'm just saying, dive into it a little bit more than just looking at that number.
But that's the promoter's fault, right? That's what I'm blaming. That's the promoter's fault. First of all, you're right, because there is a fight on the undercard with a flyweight who last fought in Mexico at a Buffalo Wild. Okay,
yeah,
so they got boxing
anywhere.
They got boxing everywhere in Mexico, right? But that's the promoter's fault to me with Oscar. There's a pattern here. It's troubling, and I like to say, "I told you so." Wait till Munguia gets in there with somebody real. It's gonna be Zerto all over again, and I told you so.
And I'm not disagreeing. It is partly the promoter's fault, but you have to understand, like Sakura is saying, if you're not in the States, right, you're getting a lesser promoter. You understand? Like, that's just how it is. Look at how long it took Golovkin to come over to the States through K-12, right? It's
You're
the
not
same
talking
situation.
about a guy who hasn't. This is team fights that I've seen of his on DAZN on network. This saying he just ain't come over from Mexico yesterday.
I mean, but for me, I think Munguia did do an excellent job of showing that he has enough knowledge, skill, and durability to make it through championship fights. I think he was able to prove that because it is a step up from what he's used to. As far as Oscar is concerned, I don't think that in this case we should necessarily be beating up and targeting Oscar, because this is an issue here in Florida. I'm sure it's an issue in Cali. It's an issue in New York, DC, where you have promoters that are putting on fights, but the quality of the competition for these matchups are not what we would consider quality matchups sometimes. Number one, a lot of times the promoters are trying to match them up with competitive fights, but then last minute replacements, and this person was offered more money to have the fight over in, I don't know, New York rather than Florida, or there's a lot of things underneath that contribute to us not getting like competitive fights as the fighters are going up, stepping up in competition. So, I mean, it's an overall issue. It's not just Oscar that this happens. But what I will give Oscar credit for is the fact that when he stepped Munguia up one time before, a baby step, and then he didn't look that hot in that fight. He was like, they all agreed, his team and Oscar, B-Hop, they all said, yeah, we got to put him back in the lab. This kid needs, we need to regroup him with, everything and get him a new team. All that happened. So I think they did the right thing when it came to Munguia. A lot of fighters, a lot of promoters, they will not stop just because their fighter isn't ready. He has a bigger name. People know him now, and he has championships under his belt at 154. So a lot of promoters would have just pushed him on and been like, "Oh well, I'm gonna make this money. I don't, the kid might not be ready. He gonna sink or swim." They would have fed his ass to the dogs. That's how they say it. So I give them credit for letting him go back to the drawing board and giving them more time to try to be the Munguia that we did kind of see in Saturday night's fight.
Javi, Munguia versus Derevyanchenko. Did he pass that test? I mean, that was a good fight, but did he pass it?
Honestly, I feel like in a way he did. Those rounds are there. You can never deny those rounds, the work, the experience. But at the same time, I feel like each time that he's been tested, it becomes like a big test, and then he doesn't. All of a sudden, he doesn't seem this powerful destroyer, knockout artist that people wants to promote it with. His own promoter wants to see him like that. This kid that is young, ready, bigger, and all this stuff. All of a sudden, when the competition steps up, then he doesn't look like that. Then we see, instead of of course we're gonna see some flaws, because that's what the competition makes you do. They expose certain flaws for you to work on, but then at the same time, the equation is like more of like exposing weaknesses that should have been worked on already, instead of just exposing flaws that it seems like, okay, he's probably working on it, but not really getting there yet. Because sometimes you always improve. For every fight, with every experience, you improve. But this guy seems like he's a young kid. That's his advantage. But it's, to me, it's kind of like of a Canelo. Canelo is a monster, great boxer, great fighter. But a few times he has stepped up, it raises a lot of questions. And some people will always cheer because like the fan factor applies. They're blinded by the hype. And then sometimes with the competition that's out there, for certain people that can put that hypeness away, you can separate from that. You can analyze and see, and be like, well, that he's strong. He's a strong fighter, good fighter. Like, the kid is young, but maybe he ain't ready to for the next level yet. Maybe he needs to season up a little bit more before we take him to those expectations probably of the people.
For sure. I think the promoter itself sounds like they're not fully behind him just yet. They don't want to, pull the trigger on it. Derevyanchenko was a good step in the right direction. I mean, that way he's tested. Derevyanchenko is definitely test proof. So that's already at least an A level. He may not be elite because he seems to be losing when he goes up against the elite. Mainly from knockdowns,
but
like we talked about earlier.
But did he actually lose?
Yeah, that's another question, Sakura. You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
But I want to ask Javi. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I
just wanted to ask Javi. I mean, would he like to see a rematch of this fight? Is it rematch worthy to you?
Rob says yes. He said yes earlier before you guys got him.
You know what? Personally, sometimes because sometimes when you have a good fighter, and usually in the rematch, you can see the adjustment. It's a beautiful thing to see when you see like, oh shit, well, one of them actually went home, worked on the things they needed to work on, and now it's a complete like master. Like it's like seeing art and being written, being drawn in front of you, and it's like, wow, it's that's like the sweet science is all about. But at the same time, there's certain fights where you can probably tell like, it's probably gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be the same story, and of course, with all the politics and bullshit, we're not gonna see the right guy winning. Because at this point we pretty much see the things, and it's like we already know that the A side guy, the guy with the whole money behind, the high profile, he's gonna get the benefit of the doubt. If there's a close fight, competitive fight that could go either way, it always gonna go to the A side, the money guy, the favorite. So understanding that, it makes you be like, man, if this guy come in and he do beat him, but he probably doesn't make it that decisive, then he will probably beat him, but not get the win. You know what I'm saying? And to avoid that, me personally, I can play devil's advocate and be like, well, if he's gonna be like that, I don't want to see the rematch. Now, would I like to see improvement from the kid? Yeah. So I'm kind of curious at the same time if a rematch will, a rematch will be like, okay, well, let's see, maybe he's do step it up. Now that he went 12 rounds, he can go home, go and work on that tape, work on those things. Then we can see improvement. And then I'm kind of curious to see, because if this is the kid that they promoted in the way they are, then I want to see those improvements. I want to see those little things that he's going to work on that that makes you stand out for the crowd, that makes you tell people like, okay, well, this kid is different than the 70%, the 80%. You have to make yourself stand out if you want people to believe in you and go after you
For
the way you
sure.
promote it is.
And we're gonna need to move on, but before I do that, I want to come with that question, right? Because that's what everybody wants to know. So let's say there is a rematch, right? Who do you guys think would be able to make the changes needed to come out ahead? We already know Derevyanchenko will never be the A side, right?
Yeah.
But can he make the changes to at least get the judges' attention more to get that win? Or will
I
Munguia make the
personally,
changes to at least make it an exclamation point and treat him like Charlo treated him?
I personally think that he can, and because I don't want to be disappointed again by this sport, because I don't want to, taste that bitterness of injustice and see it and not be able to do nothing as a fan, because I want to avoid that agony, pain in my heart, because I love this sport, and to see the bullshit, the corruptness thing, to avoid that, I'm okay with not seeing it. Because I feel like it's gonna be that. It's gonna be that. I feel like if anything, Derevyanchenko is gonna be the one that's gonna make the adjustment. He's gonna come with a better plan. He's probably gonna fight better. But at the same time, he'll probably doesn't make it that decisive. He's probably not gonna be so clear with the win, and because of that, dun, 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 A side guy gets the benefit of the doubt, and then we over here, then we over here saying, "Man, fuck boxing. I don't want to do this shit no more." We over here, that's
That's
what I
been
want to
me for
avoid as
the
well.
that's been me for the past 3 weeks, Javi. Rob, who
So,
you say?
No,
so
it's
again,
been me for 3 years now. Shit.
again, this only helps us to see a rematch because it was such a great fight, and it can only get greater if they do it all over again. Because we want to see the adjustments, because we want to see Munguia come out and even do even better. But again,
But do
this
you think he
wasn't a
can
case.
make the
This
adjustments?
this,
That's the
this
question.
wasn't a case that he really needs to make a whole lot of adjustments because he got robbed or anything. He got knocked down. That was the difference in the fight. So all he has to do to me is adjust to not getting that knockdown, not getting hurt like that. And that's a minor adjustment. This rematch should be made. We need to see adjustments from both.
But do you think you will? And if so, who would favor? Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, again, the adjustment for Derevyanchenko is don't get dropped.
All right. Your new
Okay,
nickname is
don't.
George Bush because you politically answered the shit out of that.
Yeah, he didn't answer the question at all.
Yeah.
I
They
can
both
answer.
they both can make
Robert
adjustments.
Bush.
No, but
Robert Bush.
who you
No,
think
that's
we
not what I
gonna
was
see a
asking.
rematch or not? Damn.
Yeah, we should see a rematch. We need to see this fight again.
Well,
Sakura.
we're not going to. I mean, let's look back on the history of Derevyanchenko's fights. Who has he been able to get a rematch with? As
Nobody
close
wants it
as
again.
decisions as he's had in all these fights, except for Charlo. And when has he gotten a rematch? Never. These people are going to move on. They do not want to face him again, okay? Because he's a smart fighter, and they know that he's going to make adjustments too. And Monkey Out, the sad part about it is he does need that rematch. Like this would improve him even more. Like, the people, the thing that you are afraid of the most is what really basically opens up doors for you and benefits you the most. That's the way it is for everybody's life, right? So that's the thing, is that's sad that it's probably never going to happen. But the real loser in it is Munguia. because now we're probably going to see him go against someone else that we really don't want to see him fight. And when there could have been a bigger rematch as far as money, and as far as attention is concerned. And we're not going to see that. And he's not going to be able to see whether he made those damn adjustments to cope with that type of pressure. Because that's what it was. It was like Derevyanchenko was putting more pressure on him than he was ever used to, that he'd ever seen before. So that's just the sad part about it. So no, we ain't gonna see that. Okay.
I think Sherman's in agreement there. Not at all. We ain't gonna see a rematch. I would agree. I'm not sure if he was saying he doesn't want to see one, or if he's just saying we don't think we're gonna see one. But I agree either way. I don't think we're gonna see one.
I think it's both.
Nobody is doing rematches. Yeah, you got a point there. I mean, Haney Lomachenko, that was close. Are we gonna ever see a rematch? Probably not. Haney really was like, "Oh, we're moving on. We're moving on." I bet you are. I bet you are. I think all closely contested fights need a rematch, right? I want to see a clear winner. And why wouldn't the fighter also want to be able to say that they have a clear win over somebody, right? That's what the Canelo thing was all about anyway. That third fight, we already knew, like, hey, man, that was way too long. It's been too much. Golovkin was on the slide. Everybody knew it, but we're going to talk about Canelo.
It was at a
here.
different weight class. Let's not forget that. It wasn't even at, 160 anymore. Like, it was just, everything was against Triple G.
Right. And not only that, but it's like the first time we already saw what happened. It was injustice, corruption, the bullshit, right? And then the second time, that should have been the first draw. That should have been the draw, if anything. That would have made the third one more exciting than when we said the third and we're like, we kind of understood, like, okay, go ahead, Triple G, get paid. Go get your money. You deserve it. You know what I'm saying? But imagine if there was no bullshit, no corruption, then they would have one, Golovkin won, that draw, and then Canelo won. That would have been a great trilogy. But because of the bullshit, we got robbed of that. You know what I'm saying? History changes. And this is what I was telling you guys before. Like, so a judge's bad night, a ref bad night should be only that bad night. But for a fighter, you can really ruin somebody's career off that one night. Some guys really don't come back from this shit. And you tainted somebody's legacy because of, the politics involved. And then we are here taking it on the chin like, oh, yeah, well, that's part of the sport. We shouldn't accept that shit. We shouldn't, be here happy about it. It's bullshit. We see it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, like you said, they accept it, and like it's commonplace, and it really shouldn't be. I mean, the sport, there should be a clear winner in every sport, and if there's not, then something needs to change. But unfortunately, boxing fans just seem fine with leaving things as they are or how they've been drawn up. But since we're already speaking about Canelo, and we were speaking also about Charlo with the Derevyanchenko fight. And if I remember right, wasn't Derevyanchenko a mandatory for Canelo at some point, and he got around that? Pretty sure he was. Yeah, he didn't want to face Derevyanchenko. He didn't want none of that smoke. But let's go ahead and talk about Canelo, because he's got a couple of options on him right now, right? He looks like he's looking at Charlo. I don't think that fight's happening. I think he's taking Charlo Jack at cruiserweight.
I see that too. I see that too. I see actually. Go ahead, Lucas. My bad.
No, yeah, go. You can take it if you want. Why? Why do you think he's more likely to take that fight?
No, he's not gonna take that fight. I feel like if anything, it's like a promotional tactic. It's like a sellout strategy where it's like, okay, well, we're gonna send these two names because some people are interested in Charlo, but it just like promoters' tactics when they bring attention to the topic and they already put it out there. Now you have two options, make people wonder, okay, which route he's gonna take. That's what you do as a promoter. You pretty much bring attention to the fight, to the event, to your fighter, and then boom, hit him with the switch, hit him with the flip, hit him with the last minute boom, and like you said, some of us already know the game, so we already know which route he's going. I personally feel like most likely he's gonna take Charlo Jack because Charlo Jack is way more suited for his style right now, and he does want another belt at a bigger weight because that's legacy. That's what he's looking for. And that's more of like, low risk, high reward type fight.
You being nice about it. It's clout chasing. It's clout chasing. He is chasing a title, what he would consider an easy title, right? Which he's been doing with this shit, right? With Caleb Smith, with everybody that he keeps going up against. He did it against Kovalev. He was like, oh, let me get you on a short layoff type thing. This is what he's been known to do. And everybody's just okay with it. We just keep calling it great. Well, this shit ain't great. Right,
but on paper,
ain't great. And now everybody thinks, and I have an article coming out. I just I'm waiting to put it out.
We're editing.
Yeah, but Canelo is known for just being a weight bully. Everybody thinks now that he's finally starting to like be out of his prime. He ain't out of his prime yet. He's finally reaching to the point where he's fighting at the weight that he's supposed to be fighting at this whole time. Right? If he did same day weigh-ins, this is the shit and the people he would have been facing. Not knocking out people at 185 when they're weighing 160. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is fight night. Let's not get
it. Was actually him. Yeah, basically, that's what he was doing. But at the same time, though, to add to your point, Lucas, from my own experience, your body doesn't drop as much as you can. I started competing at 123. Now I'm fighting at 150 something, almost 160. And it's because as I grew, as you get older, your body gets harder and harder to cut weight. You don't, all of a sudden you can't lose those pounds no more. All of a sudden you're carrying more weight with you, and that cutting weight thing, it becomes a hell lot harder because your body doesn't function the same. So now you're forced to kind of like get closer to fight at the weight that you're walking around with. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't feel like Badu Jack is a walk in the park. I just feel like
not saying he's a walk in the park, yeah.
Nah, he's a solid fighter. I just feel like stylistically, yeah, he's tailor-made for Canelo. You know what I'm saying? And Canelo is a hell of a fighter, so he's definitely going to be able to get that thing. And to your point that you were saying earlier, like, well, we're chasing this cloud chasing. In a way, I can see how you see it like that. I don't necessarily agree, but at the same time, when it's all said and done, on paper, people are gonna look like, okay, well, welterweight champion, middleweight champion, light heavyweight champion, cruiserweight champion. So on paper, it's gonna look good, and that's what he's chasing for.
Yeah.
So later on, there's a lot of Mexicans that don't really fight at these bigger weight classes. So he wants to, apart himself from the crowd and from the champions. Usually, the Mexican champions that we see are usually on the lighter weights, And I think he's trying to like make a difference. He's a great fighter. He's gonna go down as one of the great ones from Mexico. But at the same time, is he's leaving a lot of questions, and not facing the Charlos, the Andrades, or facing them later on. Like he's probably trying to like age Charlo a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Or wait till they see a little flow, a little weakness, a little down, kind of like what they did to Golovkin before they take the fight. And all of a sudden, a few years from now, he fight and he beat him. And then it's like, oh, well, he beat him. Because nowadays, 5 years from now, we're going to say, well, Canelo beat Golovkin. But we all know he didn't. At least the first one.
Exactly. Once everybody's dead and gone that watched the fight, the history remains that Canelo actually won in the record books. When it didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that.
Yeah, that's what I told you.
On paper, it happened like that.
That records things because you don't really know like what really is happening unless you're a real, historian and are willing to research that way.
Yeah, but even with the research, it doesn't change the fact that when on paper that is official. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't the decisions and all the bullshit doesn't get overwritten. That stays like that, and it just if anything, it leaves a question mark. But we all like that, and honestly, that's the sweeter bitter part about the sport. That you have to be able to accept that bullshit.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. That's what I hate about it. Now, Badu Jack, 39, guys. I mean, you're stepping up. I have no problem with Canelo wanting to go up to cruiserweight and test himself out. What I have a problem with is you got a whole division of boxers that want to be champions, or they at least want an opportunity to try for a championship. You're holding belts. Okay, not just one, not just two. He's undisputed. 4 titles now, not 3, 4. And it's not fair. It's not fair for you to sit there and hold these titles for over a year, over 2 years, and you're not facing anybody at that weight division. And I have no problem with him wanting to go up to cruiserweight and see if he can get another title from Badu Jack. It's a great fight for Badu Jack, to be honest with you. It's a payday that he never received in his entire career. There's nothing wrong with that to me. But the problem is that you are holding up an entire division from having championships, from being able to fight for titles. And that's cruel. It's cruel and unusual when they've spent their lifetime, just like Canelo did, trying to go up the ranks to get that opportunity.
Right. You put it more eloquently than I did. I didn't really mean like Badu Jack ain't shit. I'm not saying like the Rob statement. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is it's an easier route to go than what he wants to do. He's not going to defend those undisputed titles. He wants to go grab another title and then probably just get rid of the undisputed or do whatever he's going to do, or maybe even fight somebody less than to be like, hey man, I just fought for a cruiserweight title. I should just get, a non-mandatory fight, a pick. You know what I mean? But anybody else, especially say a Derevyanchenko would have been champion. He would have been made to defend or have been stripped by now, right? It's because it's Canelo that it keeps being allowed.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to mention, guys, real quickly. It's just the fact that, don't you guys think that it's kind of dangerous for him to be trying to go up to cruiserweight status and fight someone that's a true big cruiserweight? Like, I don't necessarily feel like, I feel like he's at where he's supposed to be right now. As far as body size and his real weight class. Now, to allow him to go up that high to fight somebody that can brutally hurt you. Badu Jack ain't no slouch. If anybody saw his last fight where he won the championship against the African champ, I think his name was Kioe or something like that with a K. You have to realize these are some big guys. Like, I just don't even think that, I don't think that is a safe fight for him.
Right. But the thing about it also, Cora, he actually, the guy that you mentioned about Jack was Ford, he actually were on the talks too with Canelo, and Canelo was going to fight him as well. Like, he was already getting ready for that title. This is not his first attempt to that title.
It's still just achievement chasing for me because you ain't going after a light heavyweight title. You're only going up to cruiserweight to get that one title, and you know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to let it go and go back down to wherever he feels comfortable, right? Maybe even drop the other belts, the undisputed, if he needs to.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, I didn't lose it. I didn't lose it because everybody's coming for the titles, but he didn't lose it because he didn't have to defend shit. This is the same reason I have with everybody that was undisputed, Terrence Crawford included. You want to call yourself undisputed, you sit there on them titles. You make them take them from you, but nobody does that.
Right. And let's back up for a second here, though. Let's back up for a second here. Because the thing that we're missing is that there's 2 other fights on the table for Canelo. 2 other contracts that were on the table for Canelo, right? We're talking about he was offered a contract from Benavidez. He negotiated or was negotiating.
They received, by the way. They denied at first that they even received that offer. And he even spoke though that Bivol, that Bivol wanted too much. So obviously he received something from Bivol, which just because Bivol wants the lion's share this time, he should. He beat you. He beat you. So that's the problem I have with Canelo right now, is exactly what Lucas is saying. The excuse is, well, if I take this next fight, what's the motivation? What's the motivation factor? I'm going to get another title and become a cruiserweight champion. Therefore, I have all these belts in every division that I ever went up to. I'm the greatest. No, you're not, sir. No, you're not.
No.
Because you didn't take these fights, the best fights, at your actual weight class. 2, Canelo or Charlo right now, I'm not real interested in that fight because when was the last time we seen Charlo in the ring? Especially being that when have we seen Charlo at the weight he's gonna have to fight against the Canelo right now? We haven't
Not at
seen
all. He hasn't
100%
been at
what he could do.
168. Yep. You're right.
We haven't seen that. Your best two options, you're ducking. You're ducking Benavidez. You're ducking a rematch with Bivol, and that should be the topic of discussion, not Badu Jack or Charlo.
Not to mention, Bivol wants to come down to 168, and he don't want no part of that. You know why? Because he doesn't want to get beat again at a lower weight and made seem to even be worse. Look, I'm sorry, and I don't want to, and I will not go on a complete rant, but Canelo's resume is fabricated, okay? It's been that way. He's beaten up these names just to get the clout, right? And he has a name list. He's got a name list. I will admit that, right? He has that list. But that list is very flawed, and that's going to be part of what I put out in the article. But it's, I mean, you got Sugar Shane Mosley.
Wait.
What do you know? Is he 50 when you fought him? Like, come on, man.
Okay, but Lucas, let me ask you something. This piece that you have cooking up is about Canelo?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something. Because you love to hate the man, but that man gets you in that ink. It makes you right. It makes you take your time and pour your heart out.
Here's the thing: I don't hate Canelo. I mean, I know it comes off that way. It's probably came off that way. He actually got me to writing. It's that I want to see him be the man he's supposed to be, right? I want to see him actually defend the title. He had 4 or 5 first fights without even fighting somebody that deserved a title shot in the first place. He's defending guys against like Ryan Rhodes and Matthew Hatton, and it just shit that didn't make any sense. And he's been doing this, and then he has the WBC stick up for him. To me as well. So I mean, it's just excuse after excuse with this man.
You're saying what I've been saying. It's like when people like Malachi, remember Malachi used to always be like, "Oh, you're a Canelo hater." It's like, no, I'm not a Canelo hater. I'm just freaking frustrated because these people that he's not fighting, he can fucking beat.
Well, not only that, but he's good, right? But when somebody is good, I still want to see them at least get the fair shake, right? We talk about the politics and how garbage the fucking politics are. He's the fucking main reason. You look at all of these terrible decisions that have gone Canelo's way. You look at Floyd Mayweather, he got a draw against Floyd Mayweather on a card, guys. Like, he got schooled that entire fight. That should have been a shutout. And we're talking a draw?
Hey, who was that judge? Who was that judge?
Fucking Adelaide Bird, I think, wasn't it?
Was it? I mean, hey, sure. I'm so glad that was like no F's given. Like, at least be discreet about it. But they even had it like, I think, like 117, 112, some shit like that.
And then she had the female cojones to do it a second time against Golovkin.
Female cojones, okay.
Right? She screwed him. She screwed him twice.
What's that called? What's the term for that?
We're going way off topic. I know. I don't know.
Okay, I understand what everybody is saying. I think the conclusion we can get to is that Canelo is, you need to give up these damn belts if you are not going to defend them.
I'm gonna say
this. Break them back up, because there's plenty of talent in that division. Let them, as you say, there's enough talent that they can fight each other, right? We'll give them something to fight for. Canelo is looking for legacy. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want legacy, you need to do it the way that gets you and earns you the respect of the legacy. Don't do it in a way where it's on the records, but people are looking at you sideways. Like, go ahead and do it in a way that is like really paying homage to the fighters that you're trying to build a legacy, that really fought people in their divisions and in order to get undisputed status. Like that's my problem with Devin Haney as well. He fought one person in the division and became undisputed. Now that he's fought a second person in that division and didn't look that good, are you undisputed? Like, no.
I agree, and I mean, we got to move on, or we can talk about Canelo all day, I'm sure. But I'm agreeing with everything Sakura said. But you build a legacy to build an actual legacy that people are going to talk about well after you're gone. Right now, everybody's saying you are building a fake legacy. People aren't going to respect this legacy that you're leaving behind. They aren't. All right. Before we go to Tio, because I'm sure everybody wants to talk Tio. Real quick, brought her back to winning, guys.
I applaud it. That's all I gotta say.
I saw Broner. I saw flashes of the old Broner. He actually had a great output. And he caused some damage to Hutchinson. Like, Hutchinson deserves the respect, guys. I know people are like, well, I don't know him, and I don't know him, and I don't know him. But however.com, he was like getting brutalized in that fight. I mean, Broner was really hitting him with some serious punches, and he made it through the fight. I mean, you got to give the man credit for coming in and people thinking that he was just gonna be an easy knockout, and he got up off the canvas and he tried his best to, you know, make a showing. I really appreciate that in what's called B-side fighters, because he was gonna get paid from round one. He was gonna get his full payout if he'd have laid down in round one. Broner, he has much to accomplish after this, but it's a great start. It wasn't a cancellation. It wasn't, you know, he waited till after, during his entire training session. He never said anything that's like, oh, you know, like media, you know how he knows how to say things to get media hyped up and things. Mm-hmm. This time he stuck to his training, listened to his coach, Coach Cunningham, and he didn't start talking recklessly until after the fight was over. And literally that was directly after the fight was over. But still, he was way better as far as his output and everything than he was in the last 4 or 5 fights that I've seen him in. He continued to keep, you know, punching and throwing, which was my major issue with him. I don't know about you guys. But I was pleasantly surprised at how well he looked in that fight.
I agree, and I hope it continues. But you know, I just think it's a little easier to keep busy against a guy like Bill Hutchinson than it is against some of the top competition that he was facing, you know, in previous fights. But I do wish him the best.
2 years, 4 months out. You know, that's a lot of time. You real stale usually. But he came out in the first round and he was ready. He was outputting.
CJ says the post-fight interview was better than the fight. I'll leave it at that. And then Sherman Henson said he looked like shit.
Hey, but y'all obviously bought it.
Sherman ain't even watched it.
Obviously watched it.
Sherman is the type. He watched highlights and then he say somebody ain't shit. Like Rob does.
All right, let's jump right on it. Tio gets unanimous decision over Josh Taylor. One, I'm gonna fess up immediately. So on our group chat, right? I had Josh Taylor. I had Josh Taylor winning the first 2, maybe even 3 rounds. And I noticed Tio had his mouth open, like he was mouth breathing awful heavy, and I'm like, he was not reacting well to Taylor's punches, and I'm like, I think Tio's getting stopped. Which is ironic because I would have picked Tio to win before the fight. And then Tio turned it on. I don't think really Taylor won a round since then. You know, he won those first 2, and after that, he just got schooled. Tio just beat him the fuck up. Now, Josh Taylor was getting, you know, he was landing his own, but for the most part, I mean, that was the Tio Fimo show. And guys, with that retirement announcement, I can't understand. You can't have that good of a performance and then talk about that. I'm halfway thinking it's bullshit, but you never know. With that being said, I want to hand it over to you, Rob. I know you got something to say about this fight.
I mean, I don't even want to talk about that second part because that diminishes what I have to say about the fight. Teofimo Lopez is absolutely why I love this sport for stories like his. It's absolutely why I watch all of these guys fight. It is for this purpose. I hyped it up before, and y'all know I did by sending you all the interviews telling you we need to pay attention to this fight. And we did because the way he was acting, the way his mental status seemed to be, this fight could have either made him or make him or break him. There are some guys throughout history in boxing, the Angel Man Freddy, all of those great fighters that when they get into the ring with all the mental issues, with all the trauma and everything going on outside of the ring, as soon as they touch down and get in the ring, it saves them. It saves them. And you see brilliant performances like this here when it seems like all of the cards are stacked against them. And I'm here for that in any sport. That's what I pay to see. That's what I want to see are stories like this. He could have easily laid down. He could have easily retired even before the fight. He didn't. He did what he's supposed to do. And basically, like I said, guys, this is basically a second undisputed champion that he beat in his career. This is the second undisputed champion that he's beaten. Legit. Teofimo Lopez.
Let's put a little pin in that because, I mean, this isn't exactly someone who fights in this weight class either there, Rob.
Doesn't matter. He was an undisputed champ. I didn't say at this weight class. I said this was the second undisputed champ that he beat and a legitimate undisputed champ that he beat. Period. And he beat Lomachenko, who you still coveted so heavily.
I still covet Lomachenko. He just like Derevyanchenko. He always put up a good fight. You never see anybody school in either one of them.
So all I'm saying is, all that other bullshit aside, Tio is gifted. He's gifted. He's a great fighter, great boxer, and we need stories and guys like this in the sport right now. We need them badly.
Okay, Rob. Before I hand it over to anybody else, you got to answer this one, Sherman. He is ruining Tank. I assume that means ruining.
I don't know. He mean running. He's running from Tank.
Address both just in case.
Right. I assume Sherman is just trying to piss me off. That's what he's trying to do. Tank is another one. Look, Tank is another one that has off the field issue or out of the ring issues right now. But when he comes and steps inside the ring, he brings it. Tio is not running from Tank. Tank is not even in his division. Tank is further away from his division right now. So I don't think he's running away from Tank. I don't think this has anything to do with Gervonta Davis. I do think it's family business, it's family issues. Let's face it. The woman who's divorced him never wanted him in the ring in the first place. Okay, so you may have the issue where he might be thinking that boxing ruined my marriage, and in turn I might lose my kid, and that's sad to think about. But that's kind of what he's facing right now. So he's not running from anybody. If anything, he's trying to handle his business like a man and take some responsibilities and get his stuff together so he can 100% be the athlete each and every time he steps in the ring.
I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think the sport definitely needs Tio. My advice to Tio would just be like, don't leave that outside of boxing, right? Don't make everything so public, because after the fight, the public, like, I'm going through a divorce. I don't, none of that needed to be seen. It's an ugly divorce, clearly, but got to keep that separate. You really, I mean, I know it's hard, but you have to keep it out of the limelight as much as possible, not throw it directly into the fire. You know what I mean?
But I would agree with you normally, Lucas, but that fuels him now. Had we seen a shitty performance like we could have, that actually seemed to fuel him in this fight.
Yeah.
So I can't really I for him, I can't really say that. I can't say that.
Certain people react differently to mental stress, and apparently Tio thrives on it.
I mean, hey, we saw that. You know, like, the thing about it is like we constantly. This is a brutal sport. It is barbaric. You know what I'm saying? And if you can go through the mental stress that anybody that breathes oxygen can go through and then still be able to perform at the top, and these sports that require so much, that's what separates you from the most, right? Now you have people, in our chat included, that were saying, "Oh, you know, this guy's weird. This guy, they got mental issues and all of that." And you know, some people might perceive him like that, but when you have people like the Ryan Garcias that say, "Oh, well, you know, I can't really make it to this fight because my mental issue and this and that," and then you got the whole boxing and the whole community, you know, the whole social media praising that, like, "Oh yeah, mental issues, blah blah blah," you know, take care of your health, all of that. Yeah, we applaud that, but in a sport where you're expected to perform no matter what, like you're a warrior, you're a Viking. You can't be doing this shit and thinking that, you know, you're mentally not there. Mentally or not mentally there, you sign up for this. Nobody else. You know what I'm saying? And if you ain't ready for this, then don't sign up for the shit that you sign up. This is what we do. This is what you're supposed to fucking go through. Like, you think, you know, everybody goes through that. So then when people go through all that shit and be able to still do what Tio did, for me, that's what separation from the crowd. For me, it's like, well, you know, like what Robert said, I agree. Those are the type of fighters that we need. Those are the type of fighters that when we look back, we're like, damn, that motherfucker, you know, the Johnny Tapias, the people that went through all these, you know, issues, mental situations, and dealing with hardship, not just shit that, you know, like I crashed a car, going through a divorce, shit like maybe shit is not easy, but these people sometimes, you know, they go through some deep shit that will turn anybody suicidal, or you know, like it will hit them bad, and still be able to do what he does. That I take my hats off for that, and it shows me a whole side of him that is like, damn, this motherfucker is like a throwback, you know, a warrior. I gotta respect that from any man, not just from boxing. Any man that can be able to go through that and still do what he does, take care of business, I salute you.
Definitely, I agree with
Women
Sherman
is
too.
so mean.
Sherman. I mean, he's not all the way wrong. You gotta have a strong mind, strong will. These weak minded will not survive in this sport. You can skate by with that shit in hockey and in basketball or baseball and boxing. You gotta be very strong in and out.
Sometimes you can just be so crazy that just helps you.
I think that's a case of Tio's.
Yeah, it could just be that way. But to me, I don't think it was emotional issues or anything like that that helped him prepare for this fight. I think it was when a fighter gets so far away from what they actually know best, and he started relying too much on, you know, the power and knocking people out, that he forgot, like, damn, I am a great boxer. I can do this by being a boxer. Everybody's talking about Josh Taylor and his boxing skills. What about mine? They haven't seen mine. And when a good trainer is able to refocus you and be like, hey, remember when we did that? Remember your footwork? Remember how you know how to, you know, you catch and shoot? Like, just recalling and using that whole training camp to revitalize the things that you have forgotten because you were knocking people out so easily. And I think that was the difference in this fight, particularly, as well as the fact that Josh Taylor did have that seriously long layoff, which was like 16 months, apparently. I didn't realize it was that long. And also, Josh Taylor, to me, he's the one that suffered with some type of emotional thing. To me, he didn't have the self-esteem that he normally displayed in his fights. And I think that was because he knew that he had control problems. I think that played in his mind, honestly. to where you're like, damn, this ain't the Taylor that we used to seeing. He's not even acting like he was an undisputed champ, that he beat Prograis before, that he had this success in his career against Ramirez. Like he's the one that looked like he had some emotional things going on with him. Plus, he physically hadn't been in the ring, since 2021. These are things that you know that end up causing someone like T.O. to be able to benefit from that, to pick it apart and to use it to their advantage. And that's what to me makes a fighter like T.O. special, is when you can feel and smell that fear, and you can see where they're not as confident as they were, and you knew how to pick it apart. And pretty much he broke Taylor down. He did. He wore him down. He made him feel bad. And I saw the look on Taylor's face when he went back to the corner in like the 4th or 5th round it was, when T.O. really had a great round. And I saw it in his face as he was just like, damn, I don't know what to do with this kid. You know what I'm saying? It was on his face. And I really believe he forgot who the hell he is as a boxer and what he has to offer. He also apparently has things that went on while he was out over in the UK. And, that played into it, I believe. T.O. is going to always, to me, the type of personality that T.O. has, he's going to always have some kind of outside drama, some kind of personal issues going on, something going on. I feel like that's just his personality. That's his dad's personality. Like, they are the type of people. I don't want to say that they could be in a soap opera or anything, but you know how the soap operas, those characters always got something going on, that they are in some type of trouble or some kind of dire need, or they created something going on. Like, that's how
I mean, that Mark Kriegel interview seemed like a soap opera when his dad walked in. He was trying to automatically talk over and stop him from saying something. No, don't talk about the black fighters getting that. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Like, right. Man. They are constantly doing something like that, and they thrive off of it. It's some people that thrive off chaos. And I feel like, even if it's his wife now having a divorce and him wanting to fight for his kid, later on it'll be some other issue. That's just who they are as people. I don't think that it interfered with him in his boxing, that he knew he had to come back from that Kambosos loss. And we have to remember that Kambosos, the way that he looked, had a lot to do with a physical injury that he had. Like, I don't think it was like people were saying where he was emotional, he was out of control and shit like that. You try not breathing for 2 or 3 minutes, much less trying to get through a fight with major breathing issues going on. Like, I feel like that's what we saw in that fight. They needed to cancel the fight. They didn't, because so much had happened with that Kambosos fight. You guys remember. It was on, it was off, it was here, it was like venues changed, states changed, everything constantly. So they didn't want to cancel that fight. I understood that. But in hindsight, they probably should have rescheduled again. But in hindsight, it's like it was due to an injury that he looked the way he looked in that fight. This fight, he was fresh, he was not injured, and we saw what type of physicality T.O. is capable of. And what kind of mental game he got in the ring as far as setting traps and doing things that expose his opponents. So I give credit to T.O. And if he wants to go and try to fight for his son, and at least have his son know that he's there for him and that he wants him in his life, I don't have no problem with that either. I feel like that's a legitimate great man that is trying to access and spend time with his son. There's nothing wrong with that. And all these fans, they can just sit down and wait, because I mean, it's going to be 6 or 7 months anyway. It's going to almost, how these boxers go. Like, it's not like it's going to impact us like that.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I don't think it's going to be a long retirement. I think he might sit out for a year and get back to it.
He's Tyson Fury.
One thing y'all touched. one thing that y'all touched on that I love is the relationship he has with his father. Is what like the opposite of Danny and his father, right? Danny
Mhm.
Garcia and his father, where they love each other. They're hell to deal with on the other side, but they love each other a little too much, right? Where this tandem, this father and son tandem, they're at each other's throats. They want to box each other. They want to box each other before he gets in the ring. And then he goes in the ring and just does this masterful performance. His father's all happy, loving each other. His father's talking the most shit to Ed. We'll beat anybody. I love it. I love it. So yeah, Tio, handle your business. And Sherman and what all of y'all are saying, this is not a weak-minded individual that he wants to leave the sport. This is an individual that wants to take care of his business right now. And I'll give you that. But Tio, don't go too long, buddy. We need you back.
I definitely agree with CJ. If George Kambosos Jr. wins his fight in 2 weeks, Tio has to get payback. That's a fight, you got to see because he's got to right that wrong. I love to see fighters avenge their losses, and I think this is one that definitely needs to happen. Um, Tio did not look his best. I think everybody can say that that's not the top Tio, so Kambosos did not beat the top Tio, and we want to see what they're both capable of.
And it was a
After
close
that,
fight.
yeah, after that, we can see him go on, try to get a fight with Haney. I would love to see the rematch with Loma. Tio's got a few different rematches he can do, not including other matches and trying to become undisputed again. But Rob, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back over to you. Do you have anything for rapid fire? I know we've been off for 3 weeks, so
It's 10:30, man. It's 10:30. rapid
It's
rapid
wrapping up,
fire.
right? Wrap,
Yeah, rapid fire is wrap it up tonight.
wrap it
But
up.
but uh but yeah, man, I definitely love our discussions tonight. They were as should be. They were nice, respectable, but they were debates, and I love seeing that from us. I love when you guys chime in. Um, Sick of y'all coming at me? No, no, I love that, and I love especially when y'all come at me because then you keep me on my toes. But yeah, after this, the only other things that I think are out there maybe is if y'all haven't seen the video, go see what happened with Mayweather's last pay-per-view debacle.
I was trying not to
Uh,
even bring that up.
there, there's probably a hit out for his family right now. He's fearing
Sounds
his
that way.
life. They're fearing their lives right now. And then on top of that, there was a 6 month suspension for Gotti that happened today.
Big
The kid isn't
deal.
really even the kid really isn't even a boxer anyway. So who cares?
Right. Right. Like he should win. Like, no, it doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna post this meme afterwards directly on our Facebook. I don't know why it reminded me, but Sakura said that he's Tio's soap opera, and that reminded me of a meme. Maybe you guys have seen it, but it's this guy and he goes, "I don't want peace. I want problems always." That's Tio. That's Tio. He thrives in it. Some people thrive
Yeah.
in that. They need it. Um, Ortiz says that is all hoodwinked and Floyd robbed the bank. Who the hell believes that BS?
I mean,
Guess
and
we'll
only
see.
thing I can say about it is 6 months. I mean, for the type of scary situation that the boxing commission, as well as the commentators and different spectators, media, all around the ring. 6 months. I don't know if that's enough, but also just to say, he put his own family at risk when he decided to continue to go after Mayweather. I know that he didn't realize at that time probably how many people were gonna like start fighting and the chaos that ensued afterwards. But to know that he was instrumental in kickstarting it, it just seems like 6 months isn't enough. But hey, they going so hard right now. These guys, they might just talk themselves into a rematch with Floyd. And don't be surprised if you guys see that next. Like it's in about 6 months, of course.
And Kenny Bayless poured
unless it's Vegas.
yeah, but Bayless poured gas on that fight. He didn't need to stop that. Come on, man.
Agreed. He's a Hall of Fame referee, for God's sake. He knows how to keep controlling that ring.
I thought he did.
Well, actually, I mean, that's, to me, I'm sticking up for the refs. Okay, yes, he's a Hall of Fame referee, so you need to freaking listen when he's telling you to stop holding. And when he says the fight is over, you don't need to try to debo and go around him to get your ass beat. Because I don't know if you guys saw it, but Floyd went into
it.
Yeah, I think everybody saw it.
After that, yeah, he hit him with a nice right hook that kind of like staggered him away. And then his dad was like, "Hey, get out of here!" Like he's pushing his head down through the rope, like, "Get your ass out of here before you really get hurt." So he, regardless, I feel like, yeah, respect the ref, and he's not completely not a boxer. He's had 2 boxing matches. He's had some MMA fights. So he knows he's supposed to like obey the rules in there. Like he really thought.
Well, how many times do we see that though, right? In boxing, how many times do we see people not listen, fighters not listen? It never ends that way. Never ends that way.
Yeah, but not the entire 6 or 7 rounds he's doing this. I mean, here's my thing.
We see that.
Here's my thing, though. He really thought he was finna get in there and debo Floyd with bailiffs who's known to protect this man. Okay,
yeah.
He really thought and let's take Bayless out. He really thought he was finna beat Floyd Mayweather, a multi-divisional champ, an international Hall of Famer. Like, what was going on in his mind?
At this age, maybe he thought he was just gonna slip one in and be all right. I don't know. People got dreams.
Get the hell out of here! Like, what was you smoking that you thought you was going to actually win something against a real professional, like prize fighter? Right. I don't understand that. Like, I don't even understand why he was mad. It's like, okay, I made more money than I ever made in my life. What the hell are you mad about?
Exactly.
Well, let's just say it's my last take on this mini rapid fire.
I called it.
This is why. This is the backfire of exhibitions. This is why exhibitions can be bad, especially for the sport, because you never know who you're going to get out there. You're going to get some Joe Smo who, like you said, is dreaming while he's in there and wants to cause shit. And this is why exhibitions is bad.
No, I think it was stopped early due to it being an exhibition. I think that played a big part into it. I think if it was a title fight or even just an actual prize fight, I don't think it got stopped like it would have. But I mean, that adds a little bit more census and understanding of why it got shut down when it did.
But you got to listen, Lucas. You got a bunch of people in there from Zeus Network with the bad girl clubs. They thrive on fighting all the time. Like it's a bunch of young people. The demographic is just like a bunch of young. I don't even want to say it, but not classy people. So what was you? What? I mean, the potion was created. Right?
Yeah. He thought he stopped it before that stuff would start, but in actuality, all he did was lit the match. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. It's like
that's what he was trying to avoid. Yeah. No, that's what he was trying to avoid. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to check us out every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We are back in the roll of things. And also our website, www.heavybagboxing.com. We'll check you out. See you again next week.